Call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first time of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting October 10th, 2022, and the special board meeting of October 24th, 2022. Everybody's had a chance to read the minutes. Anybody have any corrections that need to be made?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from those two meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of general fund vouchers 79,881 through 79,986, wire transfers 2023-0157 through 2023-0219.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers as read. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the public comments on agenda items. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to share? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item of business, which is our spotlight on education. And tonight we've got the FFA National Convention attendees with us.
Are you ready,
We
Mrs.?
have three
Miss-
from practice.
Waiting a little
Don't
bit for
mind
practice?
swinging back when they get
Yep.
here.
Yeah, we can go down to,
You guys can stay for longer.
yeah.
Yeah, so then we'll move on
Just
then.
don't forget to start waving at us when they come back, so we remember to go back. We don't get rolling along here.
Yeah. Then the next item of business is into our new business. The first one is approval of resignations.
All right, there's two resignation letters here. So first one is Mrs. McLennan, who's accepted a unusual time of year, but accepted a teaching position in another district nearby. So family in the area, it's her hometown, things like that. So first one was Mrs. McLennan. The second one was Mrs. Hesselink. First grade teacher, and she's submitted her resignation just today, and for some personal reasons. So
I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resignations.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the resignations. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is our approval of hires.
okay. And so our approval of hires, we have two here. One of them has been just on hold for a while till we had our next meeting, but Mrs. Waterman has agreed to be the forensics advisor for this year. And then we also did interviews and offered and hired Vicki Dreyer as a paraprofessional here at the high school, working to support food service and then also working in IT and then helping in the library. So
I move to approve the hires.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve our new hires. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the approval of early graduation application.
okay, and that's in your packet to look at. So we have a process here for early graduation. I'll let you get to it. We're not going to mention any names. So yeah, we've got a senior who was requesting early graduation that semester. And Mr. Melberg assured with Mrs. Kaler that all the different requirements are met. You can see on the form there, and so just needs formal board action to get final approval.
I move to approve the early graduation application.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the early graduation application. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is the consideration/approval of bus purchase.
Okay, so if you go a little further back there too, we have, I believe it's 5 different bus proposals from a couple of different vendors. And if you recall, a lot of years we try to buy like one school bus every year. Last year we wanted to buy a bus on the 21-22 budget. We weren't able to because of delays and supply chain issues, things like that. So we had budgeted for this year to purchase 2 buses in the calendar year. So one was already purchased. We got it back in August, I think, before the school year started, right, Mr. Osmonrud? So this would be that second one. And as Mr. Osmonrud has been seeking quotes and everything, there's some opportunities here if we purchase something before the end of the calendar year. There's some good buys here. So Mr. Osmonrud is here to share. Is there any? Do we need to review every one of them, or do you want to?
No, the Bluebird gas bus for $104,550. That is actually $20,000 less than what they're going to be after December 31st. 8 years ago, a gas bus was $15,000 less than a diesel. Now the demand for gas buses, because of the diesel emissions, they're going to be 20 grand more than a diesel. So this most likely will be the last gas bus we buy because of the price. I'm not going to spend 20 grand more than a diesel just to get a gas motor. And then International offered a Cummins for $106,200. I was leaning towards that just because we could take the International up to Cameron for any warranty work. But I talked to Bluebird today, and they said that they're fine with Chris Sanders doing warranty work for the Bluebird. So I think we're going to go with the gas bus for $104,550 if you guys think it's a good deal.
How many gas to diesels do we have now?
This will be our third gas bus, and like I said, it'll probably be the last one because of the price. We have had a ton of trouble with the diesel emissions.
Everyone has always.
Because, you know, and going way back to before Mr. Pett was here, we were all gas. He made the transition to diesel, and then now we've, you know, just because of those reasons you stated, we've purchased a few gas buses too. So that's why we've got kind of a mix right now.
Yep.
I know one of these has hydraulic brakes. Is that, would having a hydraulic brake help with finding people to drive or anything like that?
The trouble with that is the hydraulic system is so much more complicated, so many more moving parts. Every year you have to service it. And one of these years, coming up sooner than later, it's going to be a mandated law to have air brakes on a school bus because they're foolproof.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, you're right.
Thanks for.
We have 3 drivers that need air brake endorsements. They know it. We're working on it.
Yeah, that was something we talked about too, was that issue right there.
How many bus routes do we have? How many?
8.
8.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we going to be able to get them that training or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So Tom, you're recommending the first one listed there, I think, right?
Correct.
The Bluebird for $104,550.
Yep. After the end of the year, that bus is going to be $124,000.
So is this the second bus or?
This would be the second one. Yeah, our second purchase this year. Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of the 2023 gasoline bus.
Second.
And properly moved and seconded to approve the purchase of that bus. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business is consideration / approval of HVAC control update.
Okay, so to turn to the next page, there's 2 proposals there from Train Company. And so we have had some ongoing issues with our elementary control system. And again, Mr. Osmonrud can speak to that a little bit more. And so we've had, I mean, going back probably 2 or 3 summers, I think we've had different things that we've fixed and put investments into it. We're still having trouble. I think I alluded to in my notes that part of the issue is some of the equipment, believe it or not, after 8 years is obsolete. Like they can't get parts for it and they can't replace. So we've been kind of piecemealing some different repairs. So I'll let Mr. Osmonrud, you can kind of explain what we would be purchasing with this here.
So Egan had control over the system. It's a train equipment, but Egan has control over it. They said their software is outdated now. So either if we go with this bid for Egan is going to want the same amount to upgrade their software. And what that means is they can see remotely without coming out what's wrong, and they can make the proper adjustments if it's a software issue. Train can actually come in and take over controls by changing 2 control boxes and then doing the software and licensing. That is going to be the 2 bids, one $16,000 and one $17,000. Right now we have air handler number 8, which supplies the offices over there with the air conditioning and heating. That control went out. Egan does not have a control for that, so Trane came in and put their own control on it. Right now I have 0 control over that system. They're coming out tomorrow to actually adjust the temperature. They have to come out with a computer, hook it up, and then adjust the temperature on it. If we go with this proposal, they will have everything changed over, and they'll have everything run by my computer again, and they will be able to see remotely. It'll be the boilers, it'll be the HVAC system, everything included in the HVAC system, the chiller, the multi-stack system, everything.
So basically, we're gonna kind of cut Egan out of it now and just go right with Trane.
And the first
Correct.
one.
Yes.
Which is currently what we have in this building.
Yes, Egan has treated us extremely poorly over the last 5 or 6 years. They literally told me that they couldn't come out for 2 to 3 weeks to fix the air conditioner in July when it was 100 degrees out.
We had no air conditioning. for
Yep, I
almost
called
2 weeks.
Trane, they were out 2 days later. They've been awesome to work with. And the nice thing about Trane, it's their equipment.
Right.
It says 3-year SMP. What's SMP stand for? On the first one? On the first quote?
Where are you seeing that?
So
Right
what are
about
the
total
difference in
price?
all 3 of these quotes?
Scope of service.
Excuse me?
Can you point it out? You guys see what we're talking?
Yeah. I guess it's
What's
like
the
a
difference
warranty.
in all these
Must be a
quotes?
warranty, or
Yeah.
what is it?
The
Can I have a look at it? I
Yeah.
don't have a look.
Yeah, you can come over.
Oh, you don't have the Trane quote? I'm sorry. I gave you the, okay.
So we have 3 quotes here. What,
That last one, it's just the
This one and
2
this
Trane
one.
quotes.
okay.
So we would be doing both of them.
Yes, these 2 combined, so it'd be 30,
Okay.
34,000. This is for the hardware units and the programming and working with Bo to get it integrated into our system. This one, they call it licensing. They can have 8 pieces of equipment on one licensing device. We have 85 pieces of equipment over there that has to have licensing devices so it communicates. That is what this price is for.
So we're buying like 10 licenses, is what
Yep,
you're saying?
correct. And the nice thing about it is, it's not gonna be proprietary to Trane, so if we have a falling out with Trane, another company can come in and they will, if they have the software and know how to run it, which I assume they will, they can take over without doing what Trane is doing now. Because Egan's is proprietary.
So I imagine there's a bunch of coding and some, that's where the money goes for a
Correct.
license to pay for the guys that dream up the controls for
Correct.
the system.
There's people out there a lot smarter than me.
Well, it's too bad that we can't get the service out of the other company, because that's basically gonna cost us $17,000 to be with the wrong company.
Yep, that's correct.
Well, and
And right when they did that, it was just hindsight 2020, right? It's-
and it was part of our our big building project over
Yeah.
there. Egan was the bid, and
Yeah.
that was and like that's been a frustration, is that it was proprietary, and now that was a question that I had with Tom was, okay, are we going to find ourselves in the same boat with Trane? And thankfully, it's not a proprietary system that only Trane can work on. Another vendor could come and work on it as well. Because that was my
And that's what this building is.
first hesitation.
Correct, the same stuff.
So it's a big, it's a big investment. It's a decent chunk of change to
Does this
invest.
come out of
but
ESSER, or does this come out of the general budget?
I don't believe it can come out of ESSER for this type of thing. I will explore that, but I don't believe so. I think I will find out, but I think more for new HVAC or the actual system. I don't know about controls. I'm not sure.
If you could link it maybe somehow to air quality, that would
Yeah,
probably...
that's yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. that
So
would
how
be-
do you feel this fits into the budget?
We can do it. We can do it. And I, Tom and I discussed, okay, what if we don't do it? We kind of continue. You answered, kind of piecemealing, and we're having more service calls, and it's a lot of money for them to come out just to drive out here every time they do it. So I don't know, anything else to add on that as far as if we don't do it?
If we don't do it, we have to have someone come in, if it's not trained, to set up that office one, the AH8, because I don't have control over it right now. I have to have control over it, obviously, so we're going to have to spend money on that. And that would be a standalone unit away from the rest of the units over there. Either way, we have to spend some money.
Well, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion then.
I move to approve the train HVAC control update.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the HVAC control update. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item of business is the consideration/approval of a water heater replacement.
Okay, so I joked with Mr. Osmond Ruda, his visit to the board meeting was an expensive visit because of some maintenance issues that we had.
If they're gonna allow me in here,
Yeah. Obviously, the bus was planned. The other two here have been maintenance issues. So, and again, Mr. Osmond can explain, but we've been having issues really over the years. The dishwasher system at the elementary kitchen, obviously it's a large industrial system. It's on a conveyor belt. Issues with the hot water, has a hot water booster system on it to get the extra hot water that it needs for the steam and to sterilize things. And we've had ongoing maintenance issues with it, so I guess I'll let you take over and explain.
the system, when I started, it's a natural gas-powered booster heater. We have to have the dishes at 165 degrees or warmer at rinse. So that's why we have to have a booster heater. The booster heater 5 years ago, before I got here, was blowing a relief valve constantly and flooding the kitchen. When I got here, we remedied that problem, but then that caused more problems with it. One weekend in December, it actually kicked the system out and shut it off. The dampers in the piping going out through the roof were frozen open. It froze the coils. Brand new booster heater, $12,000. We bought that, put it in, same thing happened. The relief valve blew, flooded the kitchen, and then it kicked the system off, froze the coils. The company was nice enough to send us new coils. It did it again. I'm done with that thing. It's been nothing but trouble for the last 6, 7, 8 years. I actually made a mistake. I bought an electric one to put in there. The panels in the kitchen, one of them is 3/4 empty. I thought we have plenty of juice to run it. Had Munson's come out. Apparently, the breakers that are in there are using so much power that we don't have enough power to run the electric one. I paid $3,000 for that one. I'm going to put it on the internet and get what we can out of it. I asked Munson's what it would cost to run power to run it. They said it'd be between $14,000 and $17,000 to get that much power into the kitchen to run it. So that was off the table. We checked on-demand hot water heater on the wall. It doesn't have the capacity to keep up with the dishwasher. We kicked around a couple other ideas, and I had 3 different companies, and they all said hot water heater would be your best option. A commercial one, I believe it's 99 gallons, will handle what the dishwasher uses. Installed by Helverson Brothers, everything but the electrical, is $17,000.
So this is a 99-gallon hot water heater.
Correct.
Okay.
We only have one quote.
How quickly do you gotta move on this,
Right away.
Tom?
Right now, they have to wash the dishes, then they have to sanitize them, then they have to put them on a portable rack. It's taken twice as long as it should.
Do you have enough time to check with Sean Munson? Sean put a system at my farm, and we have the same kind of needs that you do.
Okay,
Probably maybe more so for washing the pipeline.
okay,
So he put 3 wall units lined up that talk to each other that give us 180-degree water continuous.
okay.
I think they're the same type of units you'd put in a floor heat in somebody's house, so they might be a little bit more inexpensive. Maybe not though, but they're interchangeable, and I've had the ones that I've had in my place for, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years now, and it's a pretty harsh environment.
Remember the price of them, or probably not?
I don't remember, but I don't remember.
I did talk with Sean Munson and asked him if he'd be interested in coming out and giving us a bid, and he pretty much told me I'm too busy.
Okay.
I can ask him again. I
No,
mean, he's
that-
been great
no.
working with the school.
Yeah, he's done a lot of work for us.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to just make sure that that stone was turned over.
Yeah, it seems high.
And I do have a couple more estimates that were texted to me on my phone. I'm sorry I didn't print them off. One was this is through a company out of Somerset called Bank. They wanted $17,000 for a new booster heater like we have. And then they priced us out a Hubble one that's similar, and that was $19,000. And both of those were not installed. We've checked several different options, and this is the best, and believe it or not, the cheapest that's going to work.
Yeah.
I even wanted to put a 15-gallon recirc tank on the on-demand hot water heater, and they said that would not even keep up with it. They have 4 lunches a day over there plus breakfast, so they run a lot of dishes through.
Yeah, 25 years in the restaurant business, it just seems high.
I can certainly.
Yeah, I looked that up on, I just Googled the water heater last night, and they're asking like $5,400 typically just for the water heater. Seems pretty high for a install, but
I can certainly do some more checking, but it's something that has to be done. If you want to give me some information where to look, that'd be awesome.
I mean, I agree with getting it done. You don't mess around with dishwashers and sanitation, and I get that, but that just seems really high.
Well, why don't you forward that information on? We'll give you the go-ahead to go ahead and do what you gotta do, Tom, and we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve a new water heater replacement.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the water heater replacement. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion
Can you
passes.
email me that
I think
information?
people are here, so.
Yeah, I can train you.
Okay, great.
If I can find it.
Thanks for coming tonight, Mr. Osmond.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you guys
you.
for listening.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, next time it's not gonna be this easy.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna go back up to our spotlight on education for our FFA National Convention attendees.
I'll move out of the way.
All right, so we're just here tonight to tell you about our favorite experiences from FFA convention this year. I'm gonna go ahead and start, and my favorite thing about it this year was probably we toured CNH, and that's actually the Case New Holland and Case Industrial supply houses, and I loved it because they had a whole bunch of innovation into how they move all their parts around. I don't remember how big their buildings were, but they're massive. And they have a bunch of tube system and robots that'll just go grab your parts, bring them right to them, and you just gotta box them up.
And this was the biggest parts depot in the world.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
I'm talking about the Ozark Fisheries. What they are is they're a massive fish farm that farms like koi, goldfish, like your recreational, like more or less carp for a fish tank. It was really impressive to see how they take and can move a fish from spawning them in these tugs, they'll spawn millions of them, to loading them into cardboard boxes and shipping them out all over the United States. Learning how they took, and you can find different career paths in that, from being a driver that hauls them to the person that feeds them, also the person that deals with all the bullfrogs and that, because they're a predator that hurts the business if they're eating too many of the fish. Just dealing with the careers and that were there was widening horizons.
What's just our favorite part? Sorry, I wasn't just at practice.
Nothing like walking in on spot. Right?
Yeah. All right. So, just like every year, my favorite part has to be just talking to people. I mean, we're there for 4 days with people from all 50 states, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. So we get to get a very wide range of culture and talk to everybody. And something cool that we got to do is we watched all 4 of the finalists in the Parley Pro speaking event, which most of you guys know we're pretty into that here. We've had some pretty successful teams the last couple years, so we were able to learn a few new tricks watching them, and so yeah, that was pretty cool.
My favorite part was the speaker. There's a new speaker each year, and she was Olympic gold medalist for basketball, and she just talks about how just not to give up on your dreams and your goals. She tore her ACL freshman year, I think, in high school, and she just continued to like keep going and pushing to like her successful things that she wanted to accomplish in life. So
my favorite part was probably the expo. It's where you get to see all the new stuff that they come out with, like Case and Lincoln and all of them, and see all their new inventions and all their new technology they brought us.
my favorite part was probably the expo, because I got to see a bunch of different things that you can't see in Clear Lake, and the concert was really fun, because I've never been to a concert before, so pretty great.
Yeah. My favorite part, because I'm a really social person, and I was around so many people, and I had to like say hi to everybody, because that's just who I am. So, since, you know, we're in the Clear Lake, we don't got any, I'm not going to say this word, escalavators. Close enough.
Well, we know.
Moving stairs. I got moving stairs.
They were excavators last week, so we're improving.
I was on moving stairs, and since there was two floors in the expo building or the convention center, so me and Katie were like on these things for like an hour and a half, and every time like a different state went by, we had to ask them what it's like living in their state, and we had to like, because I'm really social, and I haven't been very far out of Wisconsin, so I had to ask what it was like to live in Florida, because never been there before. And it was really nice getting to know like these people and what's so cool about their state. Yeah, I found out we're the only ones that come with soda mud ducks, but you know, that's okay.
My favorite part was probably the expo as well, just seeing everything and then meeting new people while you're there, and like talking to like people that from like just Wisconsin too, like see what usually like what goes on their side of the state, and then the sessions too, because they did a lot of skits in that about learning about new stuff. Yeah.
All right, and my favorite part is always taking them out of our little bubble and showing them some new experiences. So they talked about that. Hunter's laughing at me because that's what I always say, but it's really my favorite part too. We usually get to go explore and see things that we wouldn't see here. They run a concert. National FFA brings in 1 to 2 concerts every year, and unless they're traveling into the cities, they wouldn't necessarily be able to see a concert like that. So how many of you, that was your first time at a concert? So we get to try new things, which is kind of fun, and that's just a fun bonding experience. Not quite as educational as some of the rest of the week, but it's still really fun. And then one of my favorite parts was actually right after the concert, downtown Indianapolis. It's called the Circle City or Circle Center, and they have this is the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial. And it's downtown, and you can't really see it from the pictures that I took, but there's buildings surrounding this monument that's in the center of basically a giant roundabout. And they actually put FFA, they have like big projectors that project FFA information and logos all over the place. And then we actually missed it, but every so often they ran the FFA Creed, like a video of them reciting the FFA Creed downtown, which is just really cool. So we got to go downtown for just a few minutes. I almost lost them all and had a really quiet car ride. Just kidding. Back, but yeah, so it's a great experience. Our highlight probably of the year was we actually tried to do an Airbnb instead of a hotel this year, and that was awesome. So we actually felt a little bit more like a family going down. They had a hot tub, which was really cool. We got to make our own meals, which was significantly nicer than trying to stand in line downtown Indianapolis. Especially post-COVID, things are really weird downtown to try to get food and get into restaurants. But does anybody remember where we went to eat?
Yeah, the old spaghetti house or whatever it's called.
Old Spaghetti Factory. So again, we try to take them to, I always try to get them to somewhere that we can't necessarily get around here. Old Spaghetti Factory only has a handful of locations, and so that was one we got to try and have some fun and eat spaghetti, which was, that was all right. So
Pick the best picture.
I did. I had 2 great pictures. So yeah. So it's
How many
really great.
attendees come to that convention? I've been told, I can't remember the number. It's a huge
This year,
number.
I almost grabbed that graphic from National Space. 69,587 this year was the final total. And I believe the year before
Lots of
COVID,
chances
we
to
were
top
like
that.
at 71, so we're still
Yeah.
a little bit low, but
I
so.
wanted to say
like,
70, but okay.
Yeah,
It's about that,
yeah, pretty close. So it's very cool. Yeah. All right. Does anybody have questions for me or them? Preferably them, but. All right. Well, thank you guys for letting us crash your meeting for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Great job.
Thanks you guys for
Yeah.
coming in.
Thanks for
Appreciate you
coming
coming
in.
in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you guys, have a good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I was going to call this.
That's okay. I do it too, actually.
It'll only take me like 2 more years to get stop calling.
If somebody
Wisconsin.
needed like the absence slip signed and I signed it, Mrs. Watson, and they were like, "That's not your name anymore." You're right.
All right.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then we will get back to business here. Next item of business is review of joint federal notification process.
Okay, so that is the next, this is for informational purposes, just awareness for the board. So the next item back in the packet is, so it's after all those quotes. So this is something I just want to make the board aware of, a ongoing thing that we've been doing this year. So every year, the IDEA is the federal special education law. And anyway, they started a new way that they do this scorecard a couple of years. It was 3 years ago that they started it. But every year they look at all the data of all the schools across the country. And also here in Wisconsin, of course. And so they do a scorecard based on 2 different categories of data. So if you look kind of in the middle of the page where it says LEA calculation, there are data that they look at related to compliance. So compliance relates to things like, are your IEPs properly written? Are they conducted on time? Are you doing your paperwork the right ways? Are you in compliance with all of the laws? And so and there's a set of scores there. So we were 14 out of 14 in all the compliance, which is, like Mr. Melberg made the comment, those are all the things we directly control, so that was good. So that's a testament to our staff and our special ed, directors over the years. And then the other part is the part that looks at results, and that was where we had some areas to grow. And so I'll kind of come back to that on the next pages here. So what they do then is they combine the 2 scores together into an average of 75% is the score. And then, as I wrote, there's a comment there too, 79% or less is what they call identify for attention. And so we're very close to that cutoff. So they changed the way it used to be. I can't remember. Compliance used to be weighted higher until 3 years ago. They shifted it to 50-50. It used to be like 70-30, or don't quote me on that exactly, but it was weighted differently. So if you look at the LEA summary up above, this is where it talks about the different parts of what go into the compliance and results. So for example, grad exiters, in other words, and this looks at a cohort over multiple years of exiters, and and then you get points for that percentile, and then you get awarded points for that. So if you go down to, there's kind of a summary of that. If you go down to the bottom of the page where it says where it's the narrative or the typing or the writing. The report indicated that areas of success related to special education indicators. So this report, or this summary that I've got in front of you here, this is a result of the work we've been doing. Our admin team, teams of teachers, and then also some help from a CISA consultant. That's part of it. That's no cost to us. Okay, it's part of the support that goes with this. Helped to put this together, so it's a summary. So we did data digs and meetings, and so areas of success, graduation rate, dropout rate are all success areas. Student participation in the math and ELA assessments. So that means we're talking about the standardized tests, the once a year state tests, whether it's forward or the ACT. So strong participation rates there. All the kids are taking the test, who should. And then district met expectations related to things like discipline data, disproportionate data, timely evaluations, preschool transitions, post-secondary transitions, timely and accurate reporting. Again, those are all things in terms of how we monitor and manage the IEPs of the students with IEPs with special ed. And then flip the page, areas of need. So these are the areas where areas to grow. So math proficiency on state tests, ELA proficiency on state tests. So again, that's students with IEPs taking the state test, and those state tests, the standardized tests, are generally not easy for students with learning disabilities and other challenges. So
is this K through 12 as a whole?
K through 12, yeah, K through 12.
Of students that have IEPs.
Students with IEPs, yeah, students with IEPs, yep. So. So that's an area to grow, certainly. Educational environment, this was another part where, so this looks at, and this is where we did a lot of learning with our data digs, is this was kind of a revelation to us. We didn't realize necessarily how the score was weighted with this way, and this was definitely an area to key in on that we think we can affect change. So they look at the total minutes of a student's day, student with an IEP, and what percentage of their day is spent in the regular environment with all their peers versus what percentage of their day is spent with special education peers, like in a pullout situation with the resource room. And so the higher percentage that you have in the regular environment, the higher score you get, because it's trying to promote inclusion and less pullout. And so we looked at a lot of that data in both buildings. And just some of the takeaways that we realized, like just some practices that we can change. For example, some years we've had like our RAP or our study hall. We have had students with an IEP assigned to their case manager, the special ed case manager for study hall, which we thought made sense because that would be the time they could get assistance from that case manager. Well, that actually then counts as time as pullout as opposed to inclusion. So, one practice to change is just, look at our RAPs and our study halls. How can we make sure that all, we have totally integrated study halls so that, we don't have a study hall or a RAP that is students with IEPs with their IEP teacher. Instead, how can we have the IEP teacher go out to the study halls? That's one example. Another example is 4K. So we had all of our students who are in the 4-year-old program with IEPs, we had 0 in the regular ed setting, receiving their services in regular ed setting. Well, all the kids in that age group were speech-only students. So what that would look like in the environment would be like your speech teacher would go into the 4K room and work with kids on speech while they're playing, while they're doing things, with the rest of the class. One of the reasons that's not possible is we have tried and not been able to hire a speech language pathologist for the last 4 years, 4 years. And so we've been doing launch therapy, which is the interactive online face-to-face. And it's been very good. We're very pleased with it. But it's not an option to have them go, be in the classroom. The student has to go to sit with the therapist on the screen and talk with them. So that was an example there of one thing. So bottom line is what we did is we became aware of it, and then the consultant from CISA 11 met with the admin team late this summer So the principals and Mrs. Powers, the special ed director. And then we scheduled a couple of data digs. So around the 1st of October, we had one data dig with high school, a group of high school staff, ELA and math teachers. And then a few days later, we had a data dig with elementary teachers, cross-section of teachers, special ed and regular ed teachers in both buildings. That's where a lot of those insights came from, a lot of those conversations, you know. So it was good information for the teachers to see, understand why and the why behind some of this. And then we had a follow-up meeting with the admin team to kind of summarize this and talk about goals for this year. So basically, the identification process just means this process right here. You know, what are we doing to try to improve? Meeting, talking about it, digging into the data, coming up with a plan for change and growth, and that's what this is. It's weird because this data comes from 2020, 2021. That's how delayed it is when the scorecard comes out. So we will find out here in December. I don't remember the exact date, but in December we'll find out if we are quote unquote identified again. And there's a good chance we will, because of course, you know, that'll be from 2021, 22. And so, you know, there's been no opportunity to make any of the changes that we've talked about. So there's a good chance that we get identified again. But like Allie Call, our CISA consultant said, she said that simply means you get us for another year. You know, you get our support for another year. So,
do they actually have a person that comes in, or just it's based on?
Yeah. The data is not anybody who comes in. It's all what gets uploaded from our system from.
So no one comes and
watches.
No. It's all gets pulled from their IEPs and from the data that they pull from us. Yep. Good question.
Do you think that some of these numbers could be skewed by maybe some of the students that are maybe on the edge of needing an IEP or not, maybe not being in that program?
What do you mean? You mean kids who are not in? It only looks at kids who actually have an IEP.
Right.
This is only data from IEP.
Only kids who have an IEP.
Okay.
So
But
kids who currently get special ed services.
If there were some kids that were maybe on the edge of being approved for an IEP, that maybe chose not to be in the program, or the parents chose not to be in the program, you know, are those maybe higher functioning that could be skewing this results, the data results, by not being in that program?
I wouldn't think that'd be a concern, because, you know, the goal is to only qualify students for special ed that should be in special ed. You know, at least restrictive environment. You don't want to give kids services that they don't need, because that actually hampers their development. So I don't think, and as far as, you know, parents who may say, I've qualified, but I don't want my child to get that really hardly ever happens. I mean, I can think of, I don't know how many times ever in my career that I've seen that happen. Very few. I can count on less than 2 fingers maybe. So I think it's more, what our big takeaway is working on the inclusion model, you know, doing more push into the regular ed environment. That will, 2 things. One, it'll improve our score immediately on the environmental score, you know, and then secondly, you know, helping the teachers to understand, both regular ed and special ed teachers, that, you know, when students are in the regular environment, exposed to grade level instruction with supports, that's where growth occurs, is when they're exposed to the regular, you know, environment. You know, we tend to sometimes in education, we pull students to give them the extra help, but then that pulls them away from the regular environment more. And there are some students where that is appropriate still, but, you know, wherever possible, we want to change a mindset of having push in wherever possible is what we're trying to work towards. So I just wanted to share with you that process and what it's been about, and what it could look like, you know, going forward, and why. So.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. Next item of business then is the approval of the 23-24 district calendar.
Okay, so it seems like it's been a long time since we had a meeting. It seems like it's been a long time since we did this, but I guess so we started working on a new calendar back in October, and then we put together a draft, had a meeting with the calendar committee, and actually on the back of that page is just the notes from the committee. This is real helpful, just kind of outlines, you know, certain number of contracted days for the teaching staff, certain number of days for the students. We need to have certain required hours of instruction for the elementary students, high school students, whatever. So basically you start plugging it all together in the calendar, and it it's sort of in a way makes itself. You have to have certain things. So and certainly as a new superintendent, I'm not looking to turn our calendar upside down and make radical changes to what we've been doing. So this is the calendar that we shared and talked about with the committee, and they had a couple of good questions and really didn't have a ton of changes to it. So this is for the 23-24 school year. I guess the way the calendar falls too, we have September 1st is a Friday. That's the first day we can come to school for the regular school year. The committee agreed that it didn't make a lot of sense to come for one day and then have a 3-day weekend, or for the elementary, especially who does the open house, to have open house on a Friday and then have kids wait to come to Tuesday. Didn't feel like that made a lot of sense. So we've done it, and when the calendar's fallen like this in years past, we've done the same thing. We're going to start on that Tuesday the 5th.
Did we, at spring break, what have we done that for 3 years now?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the feedback on that?
This is our second year currently. So last year was the first year. Currently is this will be the third try at it. This one here.
Can we
So we've
send
only
like a
done
thing out?
Right, we've done it once so far, really.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We did a survey 2 years ago, and then did
To
the
get
spring
it.
break last year. And Dr. Ernst did the survey, and there was a majority that said they liked it, and there was quite a few who were indifferent. And I think when we decided to do it, he and I agree. He said, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna commit to it for a while. We don't want to be flip flopping every other. Spring break this year, no spring break next year. We want to commit to it. So I think it's still kind of new, and we're still getting used to it. And this will be only the second year this year. But as far as feedback, I don't think there was a ton. As a principal, I didn't really get any. I don't think Dr. Ernst got a lot as superintendent either, as far as positive or negative. Yeah.
Let's say I get it from a couple of people. I don't really like it, but
Yeah.
that's
one person. I think it was definitely a change. We'd always done the extended Easter break for years, and so
that's what we did. We had Thursday.
That's different. We had Thursday, Friday, Monday.
Yeah.
So mostly it's kind of shifting 2 of those 3 days over to a new spot, and then we just kind of shifted things around.
And it's always that week. It's just the second full week in March or whatever.
Or the third weekend. Or
last year, wasn't it?
It was right about the same time last year.
It's around boys state basketball.
It tends
So
to
many
fall.
Teachers asked off for that. That we had a hard time saying yes to all of that. Those people that wanted off for that.
That was a consideration.
That was part of it.
Yeah, but wasn't the primary, but it was kind of like we thought, okay, do we want to do
And I think it forces or helps, not forces, families to say, okay, if I'm going to take a week off, let's try to plan it here,
Mhm.
so teachers don't have 5 students gone 1 week and 5 students gone another week. And I think it would help if students or families get into the jive of this.
Mhm.
That'll help people stay consistent on taking this week off instead of having teachers have people come and go so much
Mhm.
in March.
Yeah.
And then that makes it hard for the teaching staff because they're always missing a good chunk of their kids.
Yeah. Feedback from last year, because I personally, I was kind of indifferent. I'm like, we do it, great. If we don't do it, fine to keep doing it the way we used to. Personally, just anecdotally, as the principal at the time at the elementary, I felt like it made the end of the year a little better. We have that long stretch that we go there, and it gets to be a long year, and in the spring it gets hard and the weather gets nice and the kids and the adults and everybody, it gets to be tough at the end of the year sometimes. And I felt last year like, after that spring break, it did kind of refresh everybody, and I felt like the last couple months of school year seemed a little more positive in that way.
So
that's just my perception, one person.
I like it because I travel, and during that week, it's just a little before the rest of the world travels, and so travel is so much cheaper. It's like it's just on the edge of that window of peak season.
Yeah.
And it was perfect.
Good.
But
yeah, and I know there were some staff and some parents who did take advantage and take a little trip, and other people just kind of had a down week, so it was, Any other questions on the calendar?
When are we going to switch to year-round school?
Yeah. Next year? Can't do it this year anymore.
there you go.
I thought it was the farmers who didn't like that. Greg. Yeah, actually,
Good point.
there's the schools that do it. Everybody likes it.
What do they get? 4-day weeks, or how do they do it?
No, they have, I went to a conference at the school board convention. What did they do?
Some do 6 weeks on.
6 or 8 weeks on, and then 2 weeks off.
That's
Yeah.
what a lot of them are doing.
Or I've seen
But
9
a lot of
weeks,
them
3
went to
weeks.
school. They had the option to go that week for summer school, so they really only had 1 week that the parents had to come up with a babysitter, I guess, if you will.
I've seen some like 9 weeks, and then 2-3 weeks off, or just more extended breaks. And I do think it's instead of having this intense school year and then the summer off and these lulls, it's just a more consistent schedule, and I think people do like that.
So are more people in the state doing it or not?
No. No, I haven't seen a movement towards that. No. Change is hard. Yes.
Yeah.
I was just kidding anyway.
It's a thing.
All right, well then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve of the 23-24 school district calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Next item of business is the review of the board collective norms and commitments.
Okay, that's that next page in the packet there, and this is just when we had our board retreat in late September, and the board did the activity and worked on that and came up with the things that individually you value, and then as a group put together and categorize the things that you value in terms of how what kind of operations in this room and outside of this room leads to success. And so we had compiled them together that night, and I just wanted to commit it to a document and to commit it to paper. And so this is just a reflection of the the project that and the work that you all did that night. So I don't have anything other than to just share it, and any discussion that you wanted to.
Well, I apologize for not having this ready for the last meeting that we had when Chris asked if anybody had something to say about the board retreat, because it was kind of crickets there, if you guys remember that moment in time. But so the public needs to know what we went through, and I think that this is a valuable tool that we can use going forward to refer back to when we're talking about how a board member and what our commitments are to the District of Clear Lake. So that was a good exercise, Chris. Thanks for having us do that.
Yeah, and I thought it was. I hope, and the categories that you came up with: trust and decision-making process, and unified voice, and respectful, polite interactions, community interactions. Those were great topics that I think the board brought together. And it's just more of a. Nothing to approve, or it's just more of a acknowledgement that it's there, that as a team, something that was developed and something to refer back to.
And the new online training thing that was signed up, there is a 21-minute seminar on board norms.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, and then also for you all to look at it too and see, if you want to revisit it someday or bring it back and say, hey, we should add this, or we should take this out or change this, or here's something I thought of after the fact.
Yeah, just check on it.
Kind of a living,
or something.
Yeah, a living document,
Yeah. Okay. The next item of business then will be the review of proposals for strategic planning consultancy.
Yeah, and so another product of that board retreat that night is we talked about ways to engage our community, and we talked about some ways that high-performing districts have gone through a process of community engagement where they it's a facilitated and thoughtful directive process, bringing in community representatives in a thoughtful way, not just say, hey, who can show up or who wants to come, but reaching out to people and getting specific constituent groups in. And so after we discussed it and there was an interest there, so I reached out to and got 3 different proposals from different groups, and I guess not to discuss the actual proposals or the costs in open, but just we've got a proposal from Bradford G. Sarin Consulting, we've got one from Howick and Associates, and we've got one from WASB, who actually they do consulting work too. So I guess I'd recommend I'd set aside some to review the actual finances and things like that. The competitive bids, we could review those closed if we wanted to.
Yep, that's a good idea. That's what we'll do. Okay, so then we'll table that and move on to our next item of business, which is review of the school board election timetable.
Okay. And that was in the notes as well. Pretty straightforward, but so again, we've got both Greg and Skip are up for re-election. We've got the official notice, the required notice goes in the paper by next Tuesday, the 22nd. And then incumbent board members have until 5 p.m. December 23rd to declare that they don't want to run. There's paperwork to fill out to say I'm declaring non-candidacy. And then anybody who does want to declare to run, both incumbents or new challengers, must declare no later than 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 3rd. So there's pretty tight, very, definite timelines for the legalities of it. Election is on Tuesday, April 4th. If a primary is necessary, that would be on February 21st. So since there's 2 positions, we would need to have more than 4 candidates to trigger a primary. So if there's more than double for each position, then you have to have a primary. So if we had 5 candidates, I guess. So that's that.
Thank you, Chris. Next item of business then will be discussion of WASB State Convention.
Okay, again, there's information in the notes. So that is in January, January 18th through 20th. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's in Milwaukee, so it's a hike. It's a commitment of time. I mean, that's 2.5, 3 days away. I know that's difficult, but I don't know, at one point or another, have every one of our current, Nettie, you've never gone, Skip, you've gone, Greg, you've gone in the past. Yeah, you obviously are new. I've never gone, as a superintendent now. So, but registration's open, and so I guess I just wanted to get the conversation and get you thinking. If you think you would like to go, to let me know. I saw some emails today going around about rooms, and I hope I haven't made a rookie error and not reserved rooms already. I thought I could do it here in November and be okay, but I saw some emails going around, so I'm going to be checking into.
Rooms, just not the ones you want necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. So I might have had a rookie moment here, and maybe I should have booked rooms already, and I'll find that out though. But there's.
No, I think you're okay.
Okay, I hope so.
But there's like 5 hotels that are all connected to that.
Yeah, right down there.
Yeah.
So huge convention center.
I'd like to put out publicly that that's always my audit week. So I just can't miss working.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. And any other feedback from those of you that have gone?
It's good. I like it. Yeah. There's a lot of good. It's all school year round. That's where I got that.
Yeah, that's
there you go.
Good exposure to different things.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested,
I'm in.
Matt, you mentioned that you would probably be interested.
My wife already said yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Skip
Important. You going?
I don't know yet.
So
All right. See how that shapes up then. So then the next item of business is the second reading / approval of the board policies. Everyone's had a chance to read them. Does anybody have any discussion or anything before we go ahead and read through them or list them and approve them?
So it's the yellow packet.
So that being said, then I guess I will just read the numbers and
A couple questions. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Nettie.
On notice of regular meetings, we are doing option B, right, where we publicly place it in the post office and we put it online. Is that correct?
Hang on here. Which policy number?
0165.1, notice of regular meetings. That's not changing it, I just want to confirm that that's what we're doing.
Right.
So it's our.
It is. Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at this. Sorry, it was a few weeks ago.
I looked at it.
believe that's what we're doing, is it?
Yes, we do letter B. Yep.
Yep, okay.
One public place and on our website, and we actually do multiple public places. So,
Okay.
including at both the schools, but we also do the post office and the village office.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Other question is on public comments, the next one back, 0167.3, it's a 5-minute duration.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to maybe change that to 3 and also put like a 30-minute limit?
Mm-hmm.
So just because if we really get to a controversial time, to be able to say, you know, we're cutting it off at 30 minutes because we do have other business to do, and make a end cut as far as time-wise goes, and not just individual speaker, but whole time-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then say if there's still speakers to go, they get priority at the next meeting. Is it publicly good to put a limit?
It is, but I think the president can shut it down as well, or
Is that still stated in there?
you shall be guided. Presiding officer be guided by the following rules.
Yeah. Presiding officer may.
Chris, you've got the actual original.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Here, I'll give you my copy. So there's
No,
the.
you go ahead.
There's the. Yeah, it does say.
So
It's a limit of 5 minutes, and the board can set whatever rules it wants. I mean, you can say no public comment. I wouldn't advise that,
Right.
or you can say it's limited to 2 minutes or 3
Right.
minutes, or and again, like as Nettie said, you can say we will, no speaker may speak for more than so many minutes, whatever you decide, and then the total time will be no longer than 30 minutes or something like that, because otherwise you could do 2
Right.
hours of public comment before the meeting even gets started.
And I just
in
think
theory.
that's a safeguard. If we say 30 minutes or 45 minutes, we can say board policy is that it's 30 minutes worth of discussion.
Greg, your answer's on the back of that page. That stuff.
Well, I guess my point is we just revisited this.
We did, yeah.
I was looking for the original copy, the one before these corrections were made.
That would just be maybe a potential
The only
thing
changes
to
should be
add.
the green.
The added stuff, okay, because I think we fixed that 2 years ago. That's why I didn't read that one. I
Okay.
thought we had it licked already.
Okay. So we may have eliminated that 5 minutes before when it was first passed.
Well,
No,
like
we
no,
Adam's
it
suggesting.
wasn't that. It was that
You add a total limit.
it wasn't a total. It was just that the
Or-
presiding officer had, if it was getting long, you could shut it off whenever.
Yeah, and that's still right there.
Has the discretion
Where
to
is it?
do what he
I'm
wants.
sorry, I'm not seeing it right now.
Where is
On the
it?
backside?
Yeah,
Yep.
what number or where on the backside?
We're on the public comment at board meetings.
Yeah.
Flip it over to the backside where you see the green.
In the green.
The first,
What number?
number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The presiding officer
Oh,
may
yeah.
interrupt, warn, terminate participant's statement when a statement is too lengthy.
Yeah.
Right, but that
Yeah.
leads to the 5 minutes that we're getting.
Yeah.
I'm
Still
saying
on.
overall discussion time.
Yeah. So we can say, hey, we've reached 30 minutes and there's still 10 more people that want to talk,
Right.
and they all get 5 minutes. That would be 50 more
And the
minutes.
reason
I
We're
say
not going to do
that-
that. Yeah.
Number 5.
Under
Five.
4 or 5, they can waive
Waive
all these
these
rules.
rules.
With the approval of the board when necessary for the protection or privacy of the administration of the board's business. So that's what we added
Well,
a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But that's for a protection of privacy, or
That's
I think
recording.
that it may, what Nettie's saying is. I
Just
see
so
where
we
it
don't
makes
get, if
sense.
it's in a disagreement, we don't automatically say we're done, and they're gonna say, well, why are we done? Is it because you're not liking what we're saying? Or are we cutting certain people off that they're gonna say, why did you pick me to cut
Right.
off?
Yeah, we want to be fair.
So if we
Yeah.
say 30 minutes, it's not something subjective out there that we're saying, okay, we're sick of hearing you talk, we're gonna cut it off now.
Well, if I'm reading this correctly, it says waive these rules with the approval of the board when necessary for the protection of privacy or the administration of the board's business.
Oh, okay, got it.
Oh,
Yep.
So
the
it
or
would-
part,
So
yeah.
we gotta get going. Yes.
So it wouldn't
Yeah.
just be the presiding officer, he needs to get the approval with you guys. Guys, should we just cut this to 30 minutes? Yeah, okay. Guys, we're gonna cut this to 30 minutes. How many people are left? Y'all get 3.5 seconds.
Or you can come to the next meeting. you
Right,
know.
come to the next meeting,
Yeah.
yeah. I just want to be.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember doing that. So we did look at this
Yeah.
one not long ago.
That's good, yeah, good to bring that. And, or we've got 30 people lined up to speak, and we know that, okay, that's not gonna work, we'll have so much time. Yeah. I see.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to look at?
Yeah, they were all updates except for the one was conduct in virtual classroom, which part of me hesitated to, do we even need that policy anymore? I don't anticipate us doing that, but I think it's better to have it than not have it in case we do have a virtual classroom. Basically, it says, you have to follow the rules in a virtual classroom like you do in a regular school classroom, so.
All right. Well, then I will entertain a motion on the second readings, or an approval of the board policies 0144.5, 0167.3, 1210, 2240, 3230, 4162, 4230, 5112, 5500.01, 8500, 0142.1, 0165.1, 5113, 6114.
I move to approve as read.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve these board policies. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. All right, so then the next item of business is review of the first reading of board policies. And reading the numbers, I guess, is a little bit dry. We'll go to the headings. So we've got definitions, parliamentary authority, English language proficiency, non-discrimination on a bias of sex in education programs or activities, Start College Now program, education options provided by the district, independent educational evaluation, student supervision and welfare, grievance procedures, student supervision and welfare, grievance procedure, open enrollment, student accidents/illness/concussion, bullying, video surveillance and electronic monitoring, public requests, suggestions, or complaints. So the majority of these, I think they're all updates that we'll be doing a second reading at the next.
The only ones that are new are the Start College Now program, because we currently have the early college credit program policy, so this would be Start College Now. It's just we need to just have one for, apparently we need to differentiate between the two programs. And then the other new one is educational options provided by the district. This is something that was I've learned recently. It's kind of a newer statute last year. Every district is required to post on its website what all the educational options are in the district. Things like in-person in school, homeschool, open enrollment, virtual, early college credit program, Start College Now. You list off, and basically it's just a listing of all the different options that we have. We have to put that on our website. So.
Does it have links then
Though what's on our website does, I think, yeah. It links to a page on the DPI website that lists all of the options. So that's what we did for ours. And we just need to have a policy. So those are the only two new ones. The rest are updates. All right. So there's a new blue packet. That's the policies for first reading here in November, second reading in December, and then I think I stuck a new updated schedule on there, about board policy updates, and we're getting ourselves caught up, and then it'll just be more doing the onesie twosies and different. And the next round of updates will come out in January, I think.
Sounds good. Next item of business then is our superintendent notes. Mr. Chris Peterson.
I got so much stuff piled around my book here. I gotta find it. So lots of things still going on like usual around the school, outside of the classroom with activities. We had recently had the band and choir high school fall concert back in October. Had a junior kindergarten fall program in late October as well. More recently, the NHS induction for the high school program over here, high school students, I should say. Veterans Day program last week, very successful. That's fresh on our minds. That was just on Friday, and elementary had a great one, high school had a great one. Outstanding, performances by the musical groups, and also some great speeches, and very just always impressed by the very attentive and respectful, nature of our kids. Very, very appropriate and very respectful. It was neat, and a great connection with our community and our veterans. PTO and book fair was last week. We had elementary parent-teacher conferences last Thursday and a second round tomorrow night on Tuesday. But PTO had the book fair and a movie night. FFA, as you saw, a national convention and several other leadership activities. FCCLA has also had some other leadership conferences or workshops that the students have been going to with their advisor. Fall sports, wrapped up back in October, so there's been some, fall sport banquets going on and just those kind of things, and certainly ramping up winter sports and activities here last week and this week with the practices getting going. Tonight we have the Lakeland Honors Music program going on, or the day in Lake Holcomb. That's why Mrs. Anderson's not here. I'm sorry I didn't say that at the beginning of the meeting. She's there to watch her kids perform, so multiple kids from Clear Lake involved in it for the high school band and choir. And then another cool thing that I wanted to share was, so we received a donation, and I just wanted to make a public thank you of this, private thank yous of course, and Mr. Vahan will as well, but we received a $1,000 donation from an alumnus from the class of 1948 in memory, Violet, maiden name of Matter, Violet Matter Rothy, class of 48 from Clear Lake High School, passed away, and her family reached out to us and wanted to make a donation in her memory of $1,000, and it was pretty touching to hear about, so her daughter, Kimberly Frederick, had contacted me, and Violet currently lived in the Twin Cities area, and she was living in a memory care facility, and she was so proud of being a Clear Lake High School graduate, and she used to tell people, and she used to show people her yearbook all the time and tell people about it, and she was very proud of being in the band and playing the clarinet in the band. And so that was when she reached out to make a donation, asked about different options and scholarships and backpack programs, and she said she really loved being in the band, and the family decided to make a donation to the band department of $1,000. So just wanted to share that and publicly thank the family. So that was a really cool thing that happened too. A great conversation that we had. So the impact of educators, you think about that. Woman in her 90s, graduated in 1948, and still touched by and still connected by the experiences she had, in school and playing in the band. And so I think that really underscores, and we'll share that with the staff too. So that was pretty cool. So that's all I have, I think. And I've got my severe weather readiness here for the fall season or the winter season here. So.
Yeah, all right. Well, okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Peterson. The next item of business is contemplated closed session. Mitch, if you want to just wander around and look at for the trophies that my name's on, go ahead. So, contemplated closed session in accordance to WSS 19.851C, considering employment, compensation, and performance data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction and exercise responsibility. In accordance to WSS 19.85, paragraph 1E, deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public properties, the investment of district funds, or the conduct of other board business where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and in accordance to WSS 19.85, paragraph 1F, concerning financial, medical, social, personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation or charges against any referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. We will review the employee compensation, review proposals for strategic planning consultancy, and review of student conduct. I will pull the board. Eddie?
Yes.
Skip?
Yep.
Myself, yes. Matt?
Yes.
All right, we are in closed session. All right, we're back into open. Are there any future agenda items?
The second reading, I suppose.
Second reading and the strategic planning proposals.
Yep. And I know you've mentioned that Fund 46 stuff is on, we're working on. Yeah, that's coming.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Do I hear a second? Properly moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.